We're here today with Ron Carson, somewhere in the Southern Sierra, actually at his home, the Southern Sierra. Not too far from where Ron really became sort of a local legend as a climber.
It's 13 miles from here to Dome Rock and the Needles.
13 miles. And we're going to be interviewing Ron and asking him a little bit about his climbing and his climbing experiences and maybe his philosophy of climbing, so to speak, and things like that today. And I think we might just kind of start with the beginning, Ron. More than 150 years ago.
I know.
So you grew up in with your grandparents. I think at around the age of 10, you moved in with your grandparents.
Yeah.
Right? In Pixley, California.
Pixley, California.
A little town out in the
It's a baffling metropolis.
Yeah. Valley, yeah. And so I'm kind of curious about what was that like growing up there with your grandparents, and do you think that your grandparents and the way that they brought you up had anything to do with later on your climbing ethic and climbing?
Yeah, sure.
You were sort of a very tenacious, very aggressive, strong climber. Yeah.
I had a lot of fun. Yeah, they had a lot to do with my attitude about pretty much everything. You know, they went through the Depression, and when we finished eating chicken dinner, those bones looked like jewelry. And yeah, I was taught to work hard at an early age, which was a good thing. It served me well in my later life, both in my work ethic and my climbing career as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they had a big influence on me. I'm grateful for it. They didn't have to do it; they just did.
Yeah.
I hope that I was a source of some pleasure for them. I know I was entertainment, but I hope they got some gratification out of raising me. I think they did.
And you told me a little bit about some of the things you did when you lived with your grandparents, and I think you said you had a dirt bike and
I moved to Pixley.
Pony and a
Yeah, I mean, I got a little mini bike. I got a horse and a gun. I mean, what more could a young man ask for, you know? And we lived in the country,
mm-hmm.
So it worked out well.
Yeah,
I was very happy.
Well, that's great. Then I think you were telling me, let's see, your grandfather he had a mindset sort of where, like, he would tell you what you don't ever do this, boy. You can't do that. That's not the way things are done. But then at the same time, he would give you room to go out and play and experiment and
I ran into my own walls, but he warned me about them, but he let me do it. But I learned from it.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's one of the best ways to learn about that sort of thing. You know.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And I tried to grow a pair of ears and listen a little bit better as I got up in age.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he was a sound man, a good man to raise me.
Yeah.
Especially.
And you were telling me that when the air was nice and clear, you could see the mountains.
Oh yeah, when I'd get up in the morning, and before the sun would come up, I'd be out there waiting for the school bus to take me to school, which is a long ride from Pixley to Tulare. And I'd look up at the Sierras and see the silhouette, as the sun was coming up over them. And I always wanted to be in the mountains, and I just looked up there and I told myself, someday I want to live there, and I'm gonna climb that peak, and I want to climb those mountains and just be up there. It's kind of what I did. Worked out.
Mm-hmm.
Now I live here, and it's home. And I climbed a few of the peaks.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And then, when did you start learning about climbing? When did that come into your?
I first saw it
picture?
on TV. Just these guys were they were mountaineers, and they were climbing a mountain, and they had this, a multicolored rope, and all the ropes I'd ever seen were just brown, hairy hemp ropes, that burned your hands and poked you. And I didn't even know there was a store where you could buy such a thing. So I made one.
Yeah.
My grandmother had yarn, and I commandeered some of it, and I took a piece of plywood and I drove steeple nails in a circle, one in the middle. And I pulled them back and tied it in an overhand knot, and I just went over, under, around and around and around. It took me about a week and a half. Finally, I made a rope, and I thought, well, this got to be right. It's a multicolor rope, And then I didn't have a harness. So that night when they went to bed, I snuck out and took my pocket knife and I cut all the plastic webbing out of the lawn chair and recliner, took it back in my room. I was up all night and I sewed together a little harness. I needed a carabiner. I didn't have a carabiner, so I cut the end of the dog leash off and had a little snap link. And I was going to rappel the next morning. And so I did. I climbed up in this tree, which was right by the big, window of the living room. My grandfather sat there every morning, read the paper, have a cup of coffee, and smoke a cigarette, So I got up there and I waited. I saw him sit down there, okay, this is going to be good. Weighted the rope to test it, and man, my hair was flying up. I was going down. The rope broke like a shoelace. And I hit the ground, and it was that powder alkali dirt, like, in the farmland.
Mm-hmm.
And it looked like a meteor hit the ground. And I was gagging and coughing and spitting up dirt and mud and just hoping that he didn't see that, And I wiped the dirt from my eyes, and I looked up, and he's looking out the window at me, like, takes a drag off his cigarette, folds his paper, meticulously sets it down. Well, he's probably going to kill me, And I was sitting there in the dirt. He opens the door and he comes out and he looks over and he sees the frames of the lawn chair sitting there with no webbing in there. And then he looks up at the tree and he sees the knot that I tied that was still good. He comes over and I'm thinking, this is it. He's going to kill me, and he just kind of reaches down and picks me up. He dusts me off. He says, well, I see you tied a good knot, but you ever heard of nylon? No, what's nylon? He says, well, we'll go in and have some breakfast, and I'll take you down to the hardware store, and we'll get you some nylon. You can try your little rope trick again, making me a rope. But then he looks back over and he sees the lawn chairs. He says, but you're going to have to pay for that. He says, well, I don't have a job. He says, I'm going to get you a job. So he talked to one of the local farmers there. And yeah, sure enough, I went to work.
Mm-hmm.
I dug rows for cotton, baled hay, bucked hay, helped with the cows until I got enough money. And then we went down and bought a big roll of that plastic webbing. And together, we restrung the chairs. Yeah. And I made a rope out of nylon, which I still have today.
Yeah.
It's up here in the cabin.
Yeah. We should go maybe do the tree route with that.
You think? I don't know if I'd trust it now.
Maybe not. So, who was Charlie Knapp?
Oh, Charlie Knapp was quite a character. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I got into high school. I was interested in climbing, but didn't know a damn thing about it. So I got busted in my English class. Had my climbing book inside of my English book, reading away, and the teacher snuck around behind me and he reached down over. I didn't even see him. He reached down over my shoulder and he pulled that climbing magazine out from my English book. He says, "You need to study your English right now. But you might want to go talk to Charlie Knapp. He's the choir and drama teacher here, and he's a climber. He might help you."
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so I did. I went up there and introduced myself. He was in his office. I went up there at lunchtime, and I was pretty nervous, I'm just a little scrawny kid, and walked into his office there, and I stood in the doorway and kind of cleared my throat a little bit. I said, "Excuse me, are you Charlie Knapp?" And he was eating lunch, and he's got this bowl of like this pea green thick soup of some sort. He's got a spoon, and I interrupted him, and he like dropped the spoon, and this curl of green goop comes up and goes back in the bowl, and his eyeballs, he had pointy eyes, like the pointy ends of eggs, and they just kind of rotated up. He's looking at me. He said, "Yeah, I'm Charlie Knapp. What do you want, kid?" He said, "Well, I understand you're a climber, and I'm I want to climb. You're awful little, skinny to boot. I don't know." He says, "You see that door jamb over your head?" "Yes, sir." "Jump up there and do a pull-up." "On that?" "Yeah, jump up there, grab that lip up there and do a pull-up." I jumped up there, and I was so skinny and light, I managed to pull one off. He says, "Come here." Got a little closer to his desk, and he's writing stuff down. He says, "All right, I'm going climbing this Saturday. And there's another kid here that wants to go. He's a senior. He's a lot bigger than you." "Okay, well, all right." He says, "Here's my address. We're going to leave at 9 a.m. on Saturday." And I went to grab the paper, and I started to pull it, but he wouldn't let go. He says, "Don't be late." "Yes, sir." So, yeah, showed up, and we piled in his. That guy had like this boat of a car. It had big old fins on it. Some big, I don't think it was a Cadillac, but like big Impala thing or something.
What we used to call a lead sled.
It was the lead sled. It rode really smooth. Yeah, we took that thing up to Hospital Rock, and yeah, he showed us. First lesson was how to fall and how to belay, how to catch a fall. And he went up this. It was pretty, straightforward, easy stuff. Looking back on it at the time, I thought it was just the most craziest thing I'd ever seen in my life. He got up to a pretty good ledge, maybe 30 feet up, put in a couple of pins and chocks and stoppers. It looked like it would have held a truck, And he came back down, and he says, "All right, Tim, you tie in. You're going up. You're first." So he tied in, and he went up. He climbed it no problem. He's a big, tall, lanky guy. He gets up there and he gets on that ledge. Charlie's got a cigarette going. "All right, pull in some slack." "Pull in some slack?" he says. "Yeah, pull in some slack." And he pulls in a little loop like that. No, get a loop going down below your feet." "Below my feet?" "Yeah, pull in some slack. Give him some slack, Ronnie." Okay, I'm hip belay. He had me tied off to a tree, a hip belay set gold line rope, So I give him some slack, and he's got a loop going, and he says he takes another drag, and he says, "All right, jump." "Jump?" And I was like, I'm looking at Charlie, and I'm hanging. okay, I guess if it works, I got you. And he's, you better, you know. And the kid, he bailed off of there. He goes about, you know, not very far, probably 8 feet at the most, maybe, you know. And the rope slid through my hands and across my back, and it dragged my ass across the dirt until it went tight against the bush I was tied to. I didn't let go, and I held him. He says, all right, all right. I'm going to lower him down nice and slow. Across my back, lowered him down. And he says, all right, your turn, Ronnie. Oh, God. So I tied in.
I'm going to have to jump now.
Went up there, and he made me do the same damn thing, you know. And that was it. That was the lesson for the day. That's all he wanted to do. Showed us this is how it's serious. This is how you take a fall, you know, you fall, and this is what it feels like, and this is what it's like to hold a fall. Yeah, and we went back to one of the little campground, Patawishi or whatever it was close there, and then out come the gallon jug of Gallo. He proceeded to drink that and roll cigarettes and tell us stories for half the night until we kind of fell asleep. Yeah, that was Charlie Knapp.
That great first experience.
I guess.
So then, what did you do? Any more climbing after that? Or
well, yeah, we ended up going back to that area because it was the only place we'd ever been, you know. And I just drugged my buddies along. Hell, they weren't even interested in climbing, but I took them out there anyway. And we kind of messed around a little bit on it and done what we thought was right, climbing. We didn't get hurt and fall or anything, so it was fun. Yeah.
And did you continue to read books on climbing and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, I did. You know, I read the classics, the basic rock craft, advanced rock craft, and studied that, and kind of got the, you know, just to how kind of things worked.
Yeah.
Seems
like all of us used those books when we were.
Hey, that was the standard gold, you know, gold standard at that day, at that time, you know. So yeah, there's a lot of useful stuff in there. I retained.
So, when would you say that your climbing really started to sort of take off? And
met you. Yeah. I read about you, and you're doing stuff up at you know, climbing around, and I wanted to do that. Like, I called you up.
Yeah.
And you asked me, oh, we should go and do an FA. You want to go do an FA? I'm like, an FA? What the hell's an FA? Oh, it's a first ascent. Sure, let's go, you know. So yeah, then we hooked up and went up to Sky Garden Wall, which is, you know, 300-400 foot, covered with vegetation, but a southern exposure. And I think was it the first time we went up there, it was raining, and we tried to hack a trail up there, and we
it was kind of drizzly.
Yeah, we had one poncho and a machete, and we took turns trying to get through the brush. It was thick. And went up there, and I think we did Relentless, or was that the right?
Yeah.
Little corner, I guess.
Yeah. And you took off leading on that one.
Yeah, I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
Yeah. And I think we ended up rating it 510A or something.
510A, yeah.
I think.
Not bad for a first ascent.
And then
I don't know how many nuts I'd placed at that time, but I think we put some in there.
Yes.
Yeah. And we lived.
And we lived through it. Yeah. And I don't think that was the day though that we actually tried to roll the boulder down the hill. I think that was another rainy day.
That was another rainy adventure day. Yeah. We spotted this egg-like boulder precariously perched, and the mischiefy part of both of us, I think. I don't even think we said anything to each other. We just kind of looked at each other and looked at it and started pushing it. And it went very easily. It started rolling. and gaining speed. And then we kind of both simultaneously realized that we might have fucked up here. It's headed for the flume, the water flume.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not good. Well, nothing we can do about it now.
No, we weren't going to stop it.
Not going to stop it now. And luckily, it just kind of slowed down enough and managed to stop itself before it got to the water flume.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'd probably still be in jail.
I'm sure that would have been a life sentence right there.
That was good times.
So, did you you went to other places with Charlie Knapp, right?
Yeah, he showed me how to get back to Castle Rocks. And it really wasn't going to be a climbing trip. It was more of an adventure trip, just to go back and into this place. That the trail was gone, but he kind of knew where to go. He'd been back there before,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, we went back there and we looked the place over and in awe. It was big,
Yeah.
and I spied a line, a crystal band went up and left to a prominent black water streak, and I thought, that could probably be a route, and sat on it for years,
Mm-hmm.
maybe 10 years,
Yeah.
before, finally went back and, to do that. But eventually did. I put a little crew together, some friends, and we went back there and did that exact route. Yeah, it was 10 pitches. Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah, that was cool. That was high adventure in an area that was far away from the roads or anybody,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah. It feels
Very
really remote
rewarding.
up there.
Yeah, rewarding experience.
Yeah. Well, let's see. So, how had you known about Dome Rock and the Needles before you and I met? Did you know about this area up here?
No, you kind of turned me on to both those places.
Okay. So
Thank you very much.
That's how you discovered the place.
Yeah.
Which ended
That's your fault again.
Yeah. I'm at fault for a lot of stuff. Well, do you remember your first route at Dome Rock?
I don't for sure, but it got to be the tree route. I think probably went there and did the easiest thing there. To get kind of acquainted with the place.
Right.
I think.
I would imagine, yeah, that's what it was. And do you remember your first route at the Needles?
I really don't remember what we did there first. Do you?
My first route at the Needles? Gosh. It might have been Black Magic with Richard Leversee. I don't know. I think that might have been it. Yeah.
It was very intimidating, especially at first. Everything was really steep, but the rock quality was just superb. So yeah, it lent itself.
Yeah. So you were becoming a free climber. And then you got talked into going to do an aid route with Gary Kunkel.
Yeah.
Up in Yosemite.
Well,
how did that turn out?
I was intrigued about it at first. I mean, it was Yosemite, it was Half Dome, and he was really good at organizing things, and being hip to where the route was and all that. And I was just like, okay, let's go, So yeah, we hiked in there and we spent the night at the base. No sooner than we got there, and we were camped probably, I don't know, 100 feet away from the base. And we weren't there for 20 minutes. And we hear this, and this basketball-sized boulder, bam, and it explodes. And it probably lit, 30 feet away from the wall. And shit, well, that's comforting. Maybe it won't happen again. And it didn't. Somebody probably, tossed it off from. It sounded like it came from the top.
Yeah.
It was landed well away from the base.
Yeah.
And it was moving, and it was big.
It was a warning shot.
It was a warning shot across the bow, all right.
Yeah. So you climbed the regular route on Half Dome?
Yep, I did that.
And
it was a lot of work for me. I free climbed what I could, and what I couldn't, I aid climbed. And then we had to haul the damn sack. And that was a lot of work. But we did it, and it was done. But I didn't want to do it again.
Were you complaining while you were up there?
I probably was. Yeah, I probably was complaining. I don't think I complained too much. I mean, the view was great, and we were in it. We had to do what we had to do.
Yeah.
And but I was ready for it to be done.
Yeah.
When we got done with it.
Wasn't any like, Gary, you got me into this, man. You better get me out of here.
No, but if I had the opportunity, I would. I'd tell him.
Yeah.
Just for fun. No, it was all good. It's good to look back on, and okay, yeah, did that. Don't have to do that one again.
All right, we're back.
We're back.
We're in the shade. We had to put warmer clothes on.
Got chilly.
A chilly spring day.
Isn't that awesome?
So I think you and I climbed for, I don't know, pretty consistently together for a year or two. And we would go out to the Needles, and the neat thing about going out to the Needles, I always thought, was that every time you would go out there, you would meet somebody that you hadn't met before, and it was usually someone who was already really well known as a climber and had a reputation that preceded them. And
yeah, it was a magnet.
So, and what was really cool about that for me was that I got to meet people, and then who I was kind of in awe of, and then get to climb with them up there. And I'm sure it was probably that way for you. But
that's where we met Tony.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were across the campground, and you said, "Hey, look at that! I think that's Tony Yaniro." And I looked, and I said, "Really? That's Tony Yaniro? We got to meet him." Yeah. So we went over and met him. He was very cordial, very nice guy, and we ended up, hanging out, climbing with him, becoming friends with him.
Yeah.
Did a lot of climbing with him. Learned a lot from him. Yeah.
And who else did you meet out there that you ended up climbing with?
Oh, Mike Lechlinski, Maury, Tom Gilge was there, Eric Erickson, Bill Leventhal, Lynn Hill was there. A whole menagerie of characters.
Did you meet Johnny Woodward out there?
I met Johnny Woodward out there. Yes, I did.
Yeah, there were a bunch of really top-end climbers that were coming out there.
Yabo was there. I went to Voodoo Dome with Lynn Hill. Yeah. She wanted to do Supernova, a route that Tony and I had put up. Yeah. And it lends itself to a top rope. So I climbed an easier route to set a TR up on it. And I was climbing it on a TR, and Yablonsky, he tied in. And the guy looks like he's going to come off at any moment. He's hanging on to things that are you shouldn't be able to hang on to, and his feet were flying in the air, but he's not coming off. And he would manage to make his way up this thing. And we pulled the cord, and Lynn, had been watching and kind of warming up, and she led it first try on site. I forget what we rated it, but it was a 512.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
It was cool. Yeah, very entertaining.
I heard, I don't know if this is true or not, but a route that you and I and Herb did on Dome Rock, just barely. I heard that Lynn couldn't make the jump for that mantle on the
I don't know about that
Boeing.
She probably figured out how to do it static.
Probably did.
Yeah, she probably, pinched a little fly speck or something and pulled herself past it, knowing her. So pretty strong.
Yeah.
I'm sure she did it.
Yeah. Well, so you mentioned John Backer. Did you ever get to climb with him?
I never really got to tie in with him. I had an invitation one day. We were all out at Ridgecrest climbing area. And Lechlinski and Maury and myself and Greg Vernon was there. And Greg Vernon had approached me earlier that day and kind of corralled me into going, climbing with him. And I told him that I would. And not 30 minutes after that, Backer and Lechlinski and say, hey, you're going to come with us, right? And I told him, I said, I can't. I've already committed to climbing with Greg Vernon. So I said I would, so I did.
Yeah.
And I didn't get to climb with him. But he was, they had eyeballed a new route, and they were going to work on John and Mike, and it was really flaky rock. It wasn't good quality at all. But John was up on it, and he's like, okay, I'm headed out. I don't know when I'm going to be able to stop. So be ready, Mike. And Mike, he looks, he says, I got a runway set up. Go ahead, And sure enough, he had a runway set up. He was going to run down if John had taken a fall.
Mm-hmm.
And he went up a ways on it, and stuff was just coming off, He wasn't able to, the rock quality was just terrible. So I think he did the right thing. He just down climbed to the last bolt and then bailed on the thing and left it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So did you climb? I know you climbed a lot of routes at Dome Rock before you ever put one up yourself.
Yeah.
Was that the case at the Needles too, where you climbed a lot of routes there before you actually?
I think so. Yeah.
Decided to put one up yourself.
Yeah. I don't remember what the first route was that I ended up putting up there, but yeah, I think we did a lot of the routes out there. In fact, one summer, Mike and I hooked up, and he wanted to do all the 512s, all of Tony's routes and all the hardest routes there. So we did. Mm-hmm. We did them all. And that guy was a freaking animal, man. He was like, as far as all around climber, he was the best climber that I ever hooked up with. He was fast. He could he's the first one I saw that he'd be climbing a crack, and instead of putting a nut in up high and pulling the rope up to it, he'd get a lock up here and he'd put a nut in waist level and just reach over and clip it and just start moving again. And very efficient, no messing around.
So when you saw stuff like that, did you kind of model after that and start
I wished I had.
climbing that with yourself?
Mike was on a whole different level. I couldn't force myself to go fast like that. I was too methodical in a lot of situations. I moved very meticulously and methodically, but with direction and purpose. But had I put the gas pedal on a little more, maybe on some of the stuff that I gotten pumped on, I might not have got so pumped on. But I tried to learn a little bit from all the great climbers that I'd got an opportunity to climb with. Yeah.
And it seems like what you learned from a lot of people, you also put to use.
I tried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I think we weren't talking about it today, but I remember talking to you about chemotherapy on Dome Rock.
Yeah.
And that is possibly the hardest route on Dome Rock.
It's pretty hard. Yeah.
I don't even say possibly. I'm pretty sure it's the hardest route on Dome Rock.
It's got some thin moves on it.
Right.
Yeah. So funny story about that route. I worked on it for a long time. It took multiple tries to do it.
Yeah.
I had a bolt in.
You had like 10 or 15 belay slaves, right? That
I did.
Out there.
Talked to everybody I could, going out there and helping with it at one point or another. This one particular day, I was out there and I had two bolts in it at that time. And after the first bolt, I would traverse to the right on this thumb mantle moves that I had figured out. And there was this really thin flake. And I could get like a number 1 or number 2 RP in it. And then attach like this little bar-tacked Air Voyager gizmo to it to kind of absorb some of the shock if I... And that particular day, this friend of mine was belaying me, Brian, and he's got a cigarette going, and I'm up there, and he sees me put this nut in. He's like, man, he's seen me go by that part, a few times. He says, man, why do you bother putting that thing in? Well, I don't know. What if that bolt up there fails or whatever, I might fall right here, whatever, He's smoking his cigarette, and I'm climbing, and I get up past it. I'm managed to move past that and to the next bolt. Well, when I clipped the bolt, I thought I saw it move. And I hollered at him. I said, hey, I think this bolt moved a little bit. And I kind of tugged on it a little bit, and that thing popped right out, hit me in the forehead. Next thing I know, I'm somersaulting backwards, and the belay device he had locked up on him and drug him across the forest floor over to the base, hits it, and he goes up, and we end up hanging there like clackers, about that fast. And he's still got his cigarette going. He's like, what the hell happened? I go, I fell. Said, yeah, no shit. You all right? Yeah, I'm all right. How do I look? You look all right. Just kind of lowered back down, and then we had to fix the damn bolt. That was another day. We left after that. That was enough of that.
Oh, God.
I'll remember that.
Yeah.
Pretty funny. It's funny now. It wasn't funny then.
Yeah. Well, so, when we climb together, well, let me put it this way. I was never a strong climber. I could be pretty persistent, but I wasn't really strong in the sense that I could keep progressing in the grades and move up to harder and harder and harder things. I just got to a point where I just wasn't strong enough to do some things. Like I wasn't strong enough to follow you on a lot of climbs because, you had excelled at climbing in a way that was just a kind of an exponential rise in your ability,
I trained a lot.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
did train a lot.
I did. And the job I had wasn't easy either.
Yeah. So you were working out in the Elk Hills?
Yeah, I
Living
worked
out
in Elk
there?
Hills.
And you kind of set up a training thing for yourself?
Yeah,
What was that?
I built a little climbing wall and a crack machine. I had it set up on a rather large type swing set in the backyard where I was living, and would train on that after work, after building a tank. We worked 10-hour days building tanks. I worked with a bunch of linebackers, and the work was not real easy.
Mhm.
We had buckets of nuts and bullpins that were 50, 60 pounds, and if they wanted to fill them all the way up, they were 80 pounds. And we had to tote these things around and up scaffolding. And when we'd hang a ring, we had to climb a hook ladder with key plates and bullpins, which were heavy pieces of metal, and a sledgehammer, a 4-pound sledgehammer, and pin these pieces of iron together. And it was pretty exhausting. And when I first started doing it, I thought I was going to die. I kept telling myself, okay, function, do this. It was a pretty good paying job, so I didn't want to lose it. I managed to pull it off, and then just got used to it and got in better shape, where it didn't bother me so much. But between that and the climbing wall and crack machine that I built and the training I did, after doing that, after working 10 hours a day, yeah, I got strong.
So what was your routine? Work and
Up in the dark
training.
With the stars. You better be out there before the stars went away. If you saw your shadow and you got to work, you'd probably go home. Then work like crazy, fast as you could go, as hard as you could go all day, and it was at least 10 hours. And then, I'd come home and I'd get on that climbing wall and I'd go to, I had E days and P days. An E day was an endurance day where I would do as many repetitions as I could. And the number really didn't matter. It was to failure until I fell off the thing and was sucking up dirt. And then P days was if I could do more than 3 repetitions, it wasn't enough weight. So I'd have to add some weight.
Wow.
And I did that on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Monday was recovery day because I'd just been climbing that weekend. So rest on Monday and then do an E day on Tuesday and then rest Wednesday. And Thursday was a P day. And then Friday was just try to get through work and then
climbing.
Get to the crags as fast as I could and be ready for Saturday morning.
Would you say climbing was an obsession?
Yeah, I guess I could. You could call it that. Yeah, I was pretty into it, but it was fun. It was something that I enjoyed. I looked forward to it and getting better. And doing all the routes that I could. And trying to feel good on them. Yeah.
Yeah. So that little climbing wall you had, was that built on a swing set?
Yeah, so I had a big bar up there on the swing set, and I'd pick it up. I had the little boat winches on it, and I picked the thing up and suspended it from that bar in the middle, and it would pivot like this. I could pivot it, and I had stakes in the ground with poles out, and I could pin it to whatever angle that I wanted, and then just hang out on the thing, you know, up and down, and try to stay on it as long as I could until I fell off of it.
Did you eat dinner before you worked out or after?
No, I went pretty much straight to it. Yeah, worked up an appetite though. Yeah, when I was done with that, I was pretty much ready to just scarf whatever I could, and I was ready for sleep because I had to get up early to do this job. It was 4 o'clock, you know, up, get ready, and be out there by 5, and wait. You're out there before the stars went away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The daytime temperatures were pretty hot out there, weren't they?
It could get pretty toasty out there, yeah.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing. I made it through it.
Yeah. How could you kind of see or gauge the success of your working out? I mean, could you actually feel like you were progressing?
Oh yeah.
You could you could see the
benefits.
I was
into diet at that time, and the reps increased. The on the P days, the volume of weights that I could push went up. During the day, the job got easier. Oh yeah, yeah. I felt pretty froggy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you have like a hit list of climbs or something that you were kind of working towards, that like I want to get stronger so I can go try this route and do this? Or
you know, I suppose I might have. Yeah, there were routes that I'd heard about out at the Needles, you know, Sea of Tranquility, Romantic Warrior, you know, these routes were legendary, and yeah, I wanted to do them. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Time I got around to, you know, getting to them, I had trained, you know, pretty well, and I did them. Yeah, and it felt good. So, yeah, I felt real happy. It was fun. It wasn't a scary thing. It was a good time.
Were there any routes where you kind of thought, oh, I'm ready for this, and then you know, went and worked on it, and then realized, no, this is really too hard for me yet. I got to keep working.
I think my brain held me back a little more than my body. I got my body was excelling, but my mind, I was fighting my mind, fighting myself, you know. There'd be a part of me that would be like, you're nuts, you can't do that. What's wrong with you, you know? And that little part would creep in once in a while and beat me back. But I think my if I'd had controlled that earlier, you know, I would have been able to do, you know, overcome that a little sooner. But I fought it for a long time. And then, yeah, you know, one of my goals was the Backer Urian in Tuolumne. I wanted to do that route. You know, it was legendary, run out, scary. And I thought, man, I really better train hard for that. So, you know, I did, and tried to climb, you know, routes that were run out at the Needles, and there are some. Mikey, yeah, he put some legendary run out routes up there, and I'd try to, you know, do those and get my mind right. And then I went to Tuolumne when I thought I was ready, you know, to do that. And Bill Leventhal belayed me on it. He volunteered to belay me. And he talked to me the whole way. He was like, "Yeah, you got this, Carson. You can do it." And I'm like, "Keep talking. Keep telling me that," you know. And sure enough, he talked me up the thing, and I led the Backer Urian, and that was a good feeling of accomplishment, you know, to get that under my belt.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of overtrained for it because it was run out and sporty, but the stone was so good. I mean, those feldspar crystals, that rock was so clean and solid. It's a really good route.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd recommend it for anybody, you know, that's, you know, got your mind right for that sort of thing, you know. Yeah.
Yes, if you have your mind right.
Got to have your mind right.
Yeah.
It's important.
Well, I did the mini Backer Urian, the one over to the right that was actually doable for somebody like me. So you climbed with Mike Lechlinski, you climbed with Tony, you climbed with, did you ever climb with Leavitt too?
Oh, yeah.
And
he's a riot. Yeah, he was fun.
And Mari.
Yeah. She's an excellent climber. All those, Eric Erickson, Leventhal, all those cats, they really had it together, and I learned something from all of them. Tried to, yeah. Mm-hmm. And they were fun too. I mean, just to be around too. We were out there laughing, and we were having a good time.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
So, how many routes did you do with Tony?
Gosh, well, I don't know, a lot. We did a lot of routes together. Yeah, I have no idea. We really went to town down on Voodoo Dome, this one little area where we did the Supernova. I didn't get in on the Millennium Falcon on the FA, but I think I did. I think a third ascent of it. Leavitt did it, and then I did it, I think. The Dark Side, the Emperor, the Supernova, and then I did a couple of routes down there, Aurora, Australis, and Aurora Borealis. All in this. That area of Voodoo Dome has one of the highest concentration of high quality routes. I mean, right, boom, 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 all together there. And then this big arching area to the right, if you don't want to lead them, you can go up this easy stuff over here and set TRs up on them if you want. It's a nice area.
Yeah.
It doesn't get a lot of traffic, really. Yeah, I think that's the area where Tony and Brett Maurer did their little plunge. They fell off the damn slab low, walking around, and stepped on some wet rock or something. But shit, they should have been dead.
I know. They were cut up pretty bad.
Yeah.
They just left all their crap there and went to the emergency room down in Kernville.
Didn't you go get their gear for them?
Yeah, I did. I hiked up there and hauled all their gear back down for them. Yeah, that was pretty amazing. I was amazed that they weren't.
Yeah, that was a long ways. It wasn't like
killed
50, 60 feet.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. So, what were the new routes that you did with Tony?
Well, the one that stands out the most is the Titanic. Yeah, that was a real kick. We'd been talking with each other. He was living in Idaho at the time. And he says, "Yeah, I got this line picked out. It's on the west face of Warlock." I'm like, "Yeah, okay. I think I've seen that. That looks pretty cool." And he says, "Yeah, I'm going to have this. I've got these hangers. I'm going to make these custom hangers for it." Yeah, okay, cool. You know. So he had these pieces of iron made. I think they were like, I don't know, 2.5 or 3 by maybe 3/8, and all they were was a piece of flat material that he had a slight bend in it with a hole. And they were all rusted, and which didn't really hurt them. They were so thick, you know, they weren't going to bust or anything. But the design wasn't really all that great because, I mean, that angle that came out, it was like a lever bar. If you fell on it, it's going to pull that bolt, want to pull that top bolt out. It didn't. They held, but it wasn't quite the best design. They looked cool. They looked like they come off the hull of the Titanic or something to tie the thing up at the dock, But I think they got replaced. Anyway, we took turns putting bolts in. We put them all in on lead off of hooks. And it took a while to do it. There's a crack part of that route that's down low that's as long as the face climb. And we had to work through that. It wasn't that bad. It went up to a small roof, and there was plenty of pro there. And we turned that and then started drilling bolts. We probably spent 5 days on it, maybe, something like that. Short week. Not working super hard, just kind of having a good time. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And we got done with it. And Tony had been talking to Brett, and he said, "Yeah, I got a bag full of shoes for you. This outfit wants you to put these boots on and do the route, So we hoofed it on down to L.A. To Brett's house and hung out with him for a couple of days and ate good, and rested up. And we got this bag of boots. I forget the name of them even, but we got this big bag of boots. And I don't think either one of us really liked them all that much. But when we went back to do the Red Point, Randy Leavitt and Brett came up with us. And we flipped a coin to see, who would get the first crack at the route. Tony won the toss. And so he got to go first, and he climbed that thing like a champ, went up and on the face, got a little flustered up there on the face, up high, and took a little spill. And Randy, it was very photogenic, and Randy wanted to take some shots. And so they were kind of, getting some shots. And I don't know, to me, it seemed like it probably wasn't all that long, but it seemed like it took, forever, because I was like chomping at the bit and I wanted to go, and I'm looking at the sun and it's starting to go down, and I'm thinking, finally I kind of hollered up at him. I'd say, "Hey, I'd kind of like to get a shot at this thing before the sun sets," and he's like, "Oh yeah, sure," So yeah, I lowered him back down and pulled the cord, and I was pretty amped, and I got lucky and managed to pull the thing off first try. And, because the sun was going down, the light just happened to be, good, and the magazine liked it, and Randy submitted it to Mountain, and it ended up on issue 145. Yeah. Yeah, it was a good day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of the best pictures of climbing there is.
Yeah, it ended up being really
beautiful.
The light was just right, and Randy, he's got an eye for that sort of thing, and framed it in just right. So, worked out good.
Yeah. That's cool. So would you say that of all the stuff you've done, that's the most memorable climbing experience you've ever had?
Oh gosh, I mean, yeah, I got a lot of memories, of days, climbing. Some great like that, and some epic, lightning going off like flash bulbs, wet, cold. The time that you and I were on the fin, and we going like gangbusters. "Oh, this is great. Yeah, bitching. Yeah, all of a sudden, oh shit, the sun's going down. Well, we ain't making it to the top, and we'll better get our ass off of this thing, And we start rappelling, and the route, we had zigzagged all over this thing, so it wasn't like rappel straight down and come to the station, We had to find the stations, and a couple of them we ended up putting knotted slings behind flakes and wrapping off, and then we're like a couple of pitches from the bottom, almost home free, and we're pulling the rope, and the rope got a knot in it and got hung up in that sling up there, and it's dark, and we're all looking. Yeah, what are we gonna do now? We're stuck here forever, we're gonna die here. Patrick's like, you're just like, well, let's pull on it. And we all three pulled on that rope as hard as we could, and we couldn't pull it off. So you said, oh, I'll just take the other end, and I'll lead, and I'll tie loops in the rope that's stuck for pro. And I don't know, we had one headlamp between us, Herb had, and
he actually had a good headlamp.
Yeah, and you say you had that, but I don't remember you having that. I don't know, maybe you did, but you had this homemade headlamp with this piece of shit flashlight. It was actually a good flashlight, one of those aluminum ones, and it had the AA batteries in it or whatever. And then but you didn't have a way to attach it to your head, so you cut this little section of inner tube from, it must have been like a 10-speed. I think it was about that big around when you started, and you managed to stretch that thing around your head, and your eyeballs were peeled back like this, and that light's pointing straight up, and you turn it down like this, and it'd put straight up, and then you're trying to put your head like this to get the light on where you were going.
Yeah.
He disappeared into the darkness, and me and Herb were sitting there, Yeah, if he don't make it, we're going to be here for a while. Yeah, we're going to be here till we turn to bones.
Yeah.
Yeah, and shit, you made it up there, and okay, I'm here, Hold the rope up, undid the knots, and rewrapped the route. And then made damn sure the knot was off the end of it.
Right.
And then we got down, and shit, there was Charlie Knapp at our camp. The guy had wandered back there and hiked back there on his own, had a fire going, and
it was a happy day.
Yeah, I think it was like 11 o'clock when we got back.
Yeah.
That night.
Yeah, and then the next day we put up the
Charlie Knapp route.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was probably one of the most amazing things I ever saw in all of my climbing experiences, was pulling that rope down and watching the end of it bouncing up the rock and literally tying a knot in itself as it went up.
Right. Yeah.
And we all were looking at each other like,
did you see
that? What the hell? And then we try to go, well, maybe we'll be able to pull it down. Maybe.
Yeah.
No way.
No way.
God, it was amazing.
Yeah. So that was, a memorable day as well.
Yeah.
So many memories. Yeah.
Well, that was amongst so many other memorable days. But, which, that kind of leads me towards this whole thing of, about that time in climbing, Euro guys were starting to do sport climbing, and sport climbing started coming into the U.S. And one aspect of sport climbing was wrap bolting. People were setting up top ropes, previewing routes, and putting bolts in places that they thought would be appropriate, and then doing the routes, from the ground up. But they weren't putting in the pro from the ground up. And and all that, when all that was going on, what did you think about that? Because you were a trad climber, you were a ground up climber. What did you think about that? Well, coming to our country, and
that's the way they did it over there. We tried, most of us, I think, over here tried to do it from the bottom up. I think it made it more challenging to do it from the ground up. I think it was harder, but that also increased the reward at the end when you finally did persevere and accomplish what you thought you could do,
Mm-hmm.
And you kept trying and trying, and maybe it took multiple efforts, days, weeks, months, working on something. But then you finally pulled it off, and the reward, that level of reward for me was pretty keen. I liked that feeling of earning it,
Mm-hmm.
Now, wrapping down routes and checking them out sometimes, could have its place if you're on something that, that flake up there looks pretty loose, and it's probably 500 pounds.
Right.
Maybe we ought to check that before we go pulling on it, that type of thing you might want to do,
Mm-hmm.
who wants to get squished,
Mm-hmm.
So I could see that. But for the most part, I would say if you're rat bolting, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot, diminishing the reward that you could have, and there's no getting that back.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to have a second chance at that
To
earn it.
To earn it, and maybe put more adventure into it.
Yeah, adventure. Fun.
Yeah, you're
like
kind of demystifying the route before you even
yeah.
do it.
I mean, the part of it that really I kind of liked was you'd work on this thing and you're like, shit, we can't do this. What the hell are we going to do now? Well, I don't know. What are we going to do?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. We'll have to figure something. What about over to the left a little bit, and you just bounce ideas, and train hard. Remember the sequence. Get up there to that spot a little fresher,
Mm-hmm.
a little sharper,
Yeah.
mindset. And then you pull it off. Yeah, I earned that.
Yeah. Definitely earned it. Yeah. That's pretty cool. So at what point, I'm going to ask you two questions at the same time.
Not at the same time.
Yes, you'll have to multitask on this one.
I don't do that.
I know, I don't either, really. At what point did you start free soloing? And the second question is, what was the inspiration?
Well, the first part of the question was what? No.
It was, I don't know, I can't remember.
Yeah, I fought it for a long time. I really did. I felt like I could do it for a long time, but I fought it because, I thought you do something like that, and you fall, and your grandparents and your mother are just going to be so pissed off and disappointed in you
Mm-hmm.
for doing something, taking a risk like that.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't do that, And I told myself that for a long time. But I just, I took like 6 months off every summer, and all I did was climb. And I ended up out there Monday by myself. Everybody went back to the cities, to their jobs or to their whatever, and I'd taken time off because I wanted to climb.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully, maybe there was somebody there, but a lot of the times at Dome Rock and the Needles, there wasn't. It wasn't like Yosemite,
Mm-hmm.
So I'd be there by myself, and I'd figure out ways, to rig ropes up. We didn't have the, solo devices back then, so I trailed a Jumar sometimes, and it wouldn't pull good unless it was down below me, But I used that technique for a while and worked on routes, by myself at Dome Rock mostly, and just rehearsed them until I had them ruthlessly wired,
Mm-hmm.
and it felt easy.
Mm-hmm.
And finally one day I'm like, you know what? I'm here by myself, and I want to climb. and I don't want to mess around with these ropes and all this equipment.
Yeah.
And I tied a chalk bag on, and I was light and free, and I just did it. And it wasn't scary. There were never any, near mishaps or anything. It was all real solid. So I trained real hard for it, and it was just something that felt right, and it was fun. It was so easy and fun and light, and I could do a lot of climbing in a day. So it just escalated.
Did your relatives know you were doing free soloing?
No, I didn't really talk about that with them. I just was out climbing. Nobody really knew that I was doing that. There wasn't anybody out there. I was soloing with birds and lizards, Dome Rock and the Needles. There wasn't crowds out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually remember that. I didn't really know you were doing it either.
Yeah, it was just something that evolved, naturally.
So, but was there a particular inspiration for that? Something that kind of turned a switch for you as far as
Well, Backer was doing it, and I watched him do it. That guy, he moved like water down a creek, just smooth, floated everything. Nothing looked hard. And I'm just, man, I want to try to move like that. That was an inspiration, and it was just fun.
Yeah.
It was a rewarding and a sense of accomplishment. I did multiple routes a day, and I was fit, young, and strong, and just worked out.
So there's something like 64 routes at Dome Rock, I think. 64 or 66, somewhere in that number.
Wow, yeah.
How many of those do you think you did?
I didn't do all the routes solo there, obviously. Some of them don't lend themselves to soloing. For me to solo a route, it had to have certain characteristics. It had to feel solid. Everything was within reach. There was no loose holds on it. And if it met that criteria, I was in.
And what were some of the routes you were soloing out at the Needles?
Well, of course, one of my favorites has got to be the tree route. It's not a hard route, but it is gas.
Yeah.
It's classic. It's 5.6, but it's really good. And Tobin's was really good. It was slick at the bottom, but only for 25 feet. And then it lent itself to, big, solid stuff. Just get your shoes, squeaky clean before you start on that rig. And it was good. Insanity to the head wall, the Spectrum head wall was good, just barely. It had the little Boeing move. Get past that, all good.
Yeah.
White Death. Probably my favorite would be the tree route, but then after that would be Tobin's. Yeah. It was classic. I mean, you look up at it and it's just awesome corner.
I have a picture of you. I don't know who took the picture, but of you soloing just barely.
Yeah.
You were pretty comfortable on that too.
Yeah.
And
if I wasn't comfortable on it, I wasn't going to solo it.
Yeah.
I didn't solo anything at my limit. I felt everything I did felt totally in control and solid. Like I said, it had to meet a criteria for me to do it. I say that, and then I got a little wild, I guess, out at Church Dome. After I'd been soloing for a while and had that bug, so to speak. We discovered this little area, Church Dome, and it had like needles quality rock, but things were not very big, 70, 80 feet for the most part, and really good quality rock. And geez, I just got like the bug out there and started doing on-site stuff, do on-site routes. I did on-site first ascents solo, and that was a good time too. I mean, I was at a point there where if I got to something that didn't quite feel right, I down climbed. And like I said, the stuff wasn't that big, so I didn't have to go that far to get back down to the ground and regroup a little bit, and look at it. You could see it because it wasn't that big. And you could climb up the gully next to it or whatever and eyeball it. Oh, there's an edge, Okay, go do it.
That's kind of amazing.
It was, that was, some of it was, looking back, just because it's stuff that, hadn't been done before. I mean, but the rock was good, it was high quality rock. And I'd always, try to pull out on something, if I could pull out and it wouldn't come off, I could probably pull down on it and it wouldn't come off. So if there was something that was a little questionable, I'd try to break it off while I had a hold to something really good.
Yeah.
Never broke anything off, really, It was,
I guess you weren't strong enough.
yeah, I needed to work out more.
You needed
Give me spinach.
More peanut butter.
Cheerios.
More bananas. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was a day. Was it your birthday?
It was around my birthday.
Yeah. It's around your birthday.
Yeah.
And you decided that you would go out and solo every route that you'd soloed before, all in a day.
Yeah. Why not?
Why not? Just for kicks, huh?
Yeah.
So tell us about that day.
Well, at the time, I had camp set up at Upper Peppermint Creek there. Beautiful place, creek and fish. And anyway, I got up early and headed to Dome. Wanted to do the stuff at Dome first, and I was out there first light and just started at the tree, worked my way around, and when I was done there, blasted out to the needles and done the stuff that I'd soloed there, and did my favorites, Igor and Airy. I did those twice because I wanted to try to do 28 routes, but I don't think I had 28 routes, that I had soloed. So I did those twice. They were my favorites anyway. So I did those. Yeah, and it was a bitchin' day. I felt really good and used up most of the day. Tired and was coming out. Got in my little truck and was driving out, and I got to the end of the Needles Road there. And the road it goes down on both sides and curves back just a freckle, and you can see a ways, but I was kind of creeping out there, and I'm looking and okay, I don't see anybody. And I think I looked to the right last, and I should have looked to the left last because that traffic's closer to you anyway. And I kind of started to ease out a little bit, still on the dirt, mind you. And all of a sudden, here come motorcycle riders, like 20. I slammed the brakes on, and I stopped on the Needles dirt road. And everybody just kind of went by, just nothing, no problem. It went by, and one guy hit his rear brake, and I spooked him, I guess, He hit his rear brake, and he had this little gal on the back, and she was before helmets, and she's trying to pull his hair out and beating him up. I'm watching this go by, and I'm like, oh, shit, fuck, what are we going to do now? And sure enough, he turns around, comes back, and sure enough, everyone else turns around and comes back, and here goes the kickstand, and oh shit, I'm gonna die, you know. And this big old gorilla's coming up at me, and I mean, he's looking at me, my eyes, and he's walking with direction and purpose. He's got something to do, you know. And I'm like, look, man, I got a scooter myself. I didn't mean to spook you. And he hauls off with the right hand, and he comes over like this. And I'm so jacked from the day, I got chalk all over my hand. I jumped up and I caught his hand here, and it sounded like a tri-tip hitting a marble countertop. And the cloud of dust from my chalk hand fills the horizontal light that's coming through the forest because it was evening. And I guess
There's music.
yeah, right. Yeah. He's it kind of, I don't think he didn't know, you know, about that sort of thing, I guess, you know, and he's kind of looking like, what the hell is this? You know, what's this guy got on his hands, you know, and this chalk's curling around, and he looks back at me and he says, I'd fuck you up, but I got things to do. And I go, yeah, me too. He turns around and walks back, and I staggered back to my truck and got in there. He went his way and I went mine, and that was the end of that. That was far and away the scariest part of that day. Yeah, I thought I was going to die.
Yeah. You had a scooter of your own, huh?
Yeah.
You had a Ninja.
Ninja 900. It had 165 miles an hour on the speedometer, and I did it.
You pegged it once.
I pegged it all the time. Are you kidding?
Tell me about a time when you took it out for a ride at night.
Well, yeah, I was on my way back from the Needles. I'd taken it up there, and I was coming back. I was living out at this place called Missouri Triangle, and is in the middle of the oil fields. And yeah, going home, and just wanted to get there. I wasn't going, 165, but I was doing 120, and everything was fine. I was on the Corcoran Road. It's an old country road, nothing out there, no traffic. And vroom, 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 vroom. What the hell is that? There's cows! There's cows in the road! These black Angus cows, man. And somehow I managed to go through this herd of black Angus and didn't hit a one. And I slowed down to about, I'm 30 miles an hour, and I see the farmhouse, it was right there, not very far away. And I went to the farmhouse, and I'm beep, 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 honking that little motorcycle horn. And the light comes on the porch, and this guy comes out with a shotgun and his tighty whities. He's like, what the hell are you doing? What do you want? You cows are out! You cows are out! You cows are out in the road! Well, thank you very much. I'll go get him right now. He walked barefooted right out to his truck in his tidy whities and drove out there. I just went home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, did you ever drive at night like that again?
Yes. Well,
that slow learner, Ron.
That machine was so awesome. I mean, even at that speed, it was just smooth. You just sat there on it, and the only thing that got different was things went by faster. And you'd see a dot, up in the road, and you'd have about a second to say, oh, is that coming or going? That's coming, and it was by you. But it was smooth. It was in control. I, felt. Never had any problems with it. Yeah. It was my time machine. I could go from point A to point B in the least amount of time. It's what I did at that time. Not anymore.
No. I think we could all say that. Not anymore.
Sold that thing, yeah.
You think that was a good idea to sell it?
Yes. The timing was right. I'm done with that.
So, in a sense, I mean, it's like okay, I have a lot of fun on this thing, but if I keep this up, I'm going to pay for it eventually.
Oh, I was dragging the pegs on the way up here.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Sparky.
Yeah, what you need to do is go around one curve that you know haven't been there for a while, and somebody's got gravel all over it.
Yeah. I've been on a bike on this mountain road and
Yeah.
taken a fall because of gravel.
Yeah.
But so was there ever a time in your climbing when you felt like you were pushing things a little too hard or
No.
risking anything, or
Nope.
you always felt in control?
I did. Yeah. If I didn't, you know, it wouldn't have been fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I was out there for, you know, a good time and the rewarding experience
Mm-hmm.
that I felt by doing that. And I never once felt that it was, you know, ooh, I barely made that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I said, all the stuff that I did at Dome Rock, you know, I didn't on-site any of that stuff. It was some hard routes out there.
Yeah.
So I worked them. Until it was like clockwork. It felt easy.
Yeah. How about partners? Do you ever have any experiences with climbing partners where you felt like this is a little bit more risky because the person I'm climbing with isn't quite competent enough, or we're not on the same page, or
You know, the only time I kind of felt like that was I'd put that crew together, you know, to go back to Castle Rocks to do that big freaking wall to fin, you know, that
mm-hmm.
crystal band to the water streak.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, those guys were great. You know, I'd known them all a long time, you know, but it was like I drilled every bolt on that route except for one. And it was a lot of work. So that it was still a good time,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but it was a lot of work too.
Right.
But the reward was good too.
Yeah.
You know, 10 pitches. And I'll tell you what, I was getting awful tired of drilling bolts. So the upper part of that, there was 80 feet runouts.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to I didn't want to stop.
Got a little sporty up there, huh?
Well, yeah. I mean, I was tired. So I just wanted to get it done.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the second day. And it was getting, you know, it was getting towards not the end of the day, but, you know, we had to get to the top and get back down before it got dark. So it got pretty sporty at the top.
Mm-hmm. Did that route have some characteristics like Silver Lining, where there was, when you were down below looking up, it just looked blank, but then as you continued to climb, you kept finding edges little pockets and stuff like that?
Yeah, it did.
Really cool.
Yeah, so it was, I'm looking up and I'm like going, I don't want to drill another bolt, but maybe something will appear. And then going and, oh yeah, okay, this is cool. Okay, it's good. Yeah, and then the next thing you know, I moved a considerable distance without having to drill another bolt.
Right, you could find placements.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really, I thought, spectacular aspect of climbing on the fin. It's just
stuff would appear
from down below. It's like, oh my God, it looks like glass.
Right.
And then you get up there and it's like, oh, look at this. There's this little seam right here. It's 2 inches deep in the back, and you can put something in there, and it's great.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't think I've ever climbed on anything else like that.
Castle Rocks.
Yeah, pretty cool. So you you've tapered off, obviously, in climbing.
Yeah.
You do climb once in a while.
No, I climb out of bed or up a ladder, maybe.
Right.
Became a welder at a pretty young age.
Oh yeah.
And we talked about you were working out in the Elk Hills. I presume you were working for one of the oil companies out there.
It was a tank building outfit
Yeah.
that did work for the oil companies.
Okay, that's how it got going. Yeah. And then, but you eventually, was it the same company that you were traveling around?
Well, over the years, I worked for a lot of different companies, but it was all building tanks.
Right.
Yeah.
And many of them were municipal water tanks.
Well, later on, I got into the water tanks. At first, it was with the oil fields.
Yeah.
And then the oil fields, that was not a real pleasant place to work. Water tanks were typically on the top of a hill overlooking a new residential area. And back in the day, we all camped out. It'd be like a bunch of covered wagons. We'd have our RVs up on top of this hill, nobody around. And those guys, they're into hunting pigs, and we have barbecues, and it was great.
Yeah.
But then after 9/11, it was a high security area, and they wouldn't let us, they didn't want anybody camping there anymore.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But I fell into welding because of my grandfather. Back in the day, like 7th grade, maybe 8th grade, he was in the field fixing a plow that he'd busted. He's arc welding out there. And after school, I ran out there to see what he was doing. And he's got his hood down and he's welding and he lifts his hood up. And I'm standing there looking at it like no hood or nothing, just eyeballing what he's doing. He's like, "What the hell are you doing?" I'm watching him weld. He said, "You can't do that." "Well, get me one of them hoods so I can see how to do it, Oh, Jesus. Yeah. I'll show you how to do it. But let me tell you, there's a lot better ways of making a living.
Yeah.
And I want to know how to do it. It's cool, So he showed me how to weld. And then when I got my permit, just a learner's permit, I signed up for a night class at COS in Visalia. And I drove up there a couple of nights a week and took a welding class to get certified, to be a certified welder. And I did. So I was a certified welder at like 17 years old. And when I graduated from high school, I could, I didn't start building tanks right out of high school. I went to Oregon to kind of see what my pop was up to because I hadn't spent any time with him. I didn't know really who he was. So I went up to work for him in his plastics recycling. He was in plastics recycling in like 1978, 77, which kind of ahead of his time, Yeah. They weren't really doing that back then, but they were struggling, and I didn't really get much of a paycheck. So I got a job up there welding and saved some money, and I hightailed it back to California. And right when I got back, they were hiring at a tank building outfit, and I went over there and took their test and passed the test, and they hired me. And so I went to work building primarily oil field tanks, and then landed a job with another company that built primarily water tanks, which is a lot better.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah. You and I have this kind of a running joke where I call you up and I tell you I'm in X town somewhere in California or Nevada or Utah or somewhere out in the west here, and you'll always inevitably say, "Yeah, I built a tank there." So now I've just gotten to the point where wherever I go, if I see a nice water tank up on the hill, I just go, "I probably built that."
I probably did.
Yeah. But so I was asking you earlier about in all this traveling around, and building tanks in all these communities all over the West, many of those communities have climbing venues nearby. And so, did you take advantage of that when you were out?
Oh,
Doing
yeah.
your welding and stuff, and jump off for an hour or two here, an hour or two there, and go climbing?
You know, I tried to, I would go to a gym, even if it wasn't a climbing gym after work and try to train. But one particular job in Prescott, Arizona, uh, you know, it's a kind of a climbing area. They got this stuff out there, and I just got there, and I'm like, yeah. Weekend rolls around, and I wanted to find a climbing area, you know, some people that were climbing. So I'm wandering around out in the desert out there and not seeing anybody. And finally, here's this group of people, you know, and they got a top rope set up and are climbing. I'm like, okay, well, here's my crew, you know, and strike up a conversation with these folks. And so I did, and I'm talking to this fella and watching the folks on the top ropes climbing and stuff. And this guy I was talking to, he said, yeah, that fella right over there, he owns a climbing gym here in town. And I'm like, you're kidding, climbing gym? I'd like to meet him, you know. And so he got done with what he was doing, you know, he was bullying somebody. And I walked over there and I said, hey, I understand you own a climbing gym here in town. I'd like to introduce myself. I said, I'm Ron Carson from the Needle. And she just gave a double take, you know, and she says, Ron Carson from the Needles. And I immediately got a little, you know, defensive, and I'm thinking, okay, somebody that I probably pissed off, you know, somehow. And, well, yeah, I'm that. And I'm looking back at the fellow that I was just talking with, you know, and he's like, that's Tony. And Tony, hey, sir, how you doing? And we're shaking hands, you know. And I'm so happy to see him. And then I said something really smart and appropriate, and I said, what happened to you? he's, I don't know, I got a little old, I guess, you know. And he didn't bat an eye at it. He didn't faze him at all, you know. We were happy to see each other, and we just carried on from them. I visited him at his climbing gym, and took him to the job and showed him the job site, you know, and we hung out a little bit. And then, the job was done. Went on to another town, build another tank.
Yeah. So other places that you've been, did you ever, like, you're out building a tank, you go to a climbing venue, and then did you ever meet any people that you ended up climbing with?
No, not so much. That was really the only climbing gym that I ever kind of discovered out. The other gyms were just gyms, you know, just a place to go get a workout, and didn't really meet anybody that was a climber. You know. Yeah, I worked a lot of towns. I mean, worked in Oregon, Washington, Nevada, Arizona, California, and this outfit, they even got a job in this place. The boss called me and says, Ron, we got this job, and you're just going to love it. And I said, oh, yeah, where are we going now? And he says, we're going to Antarctica. And I said, well, you can send me a postcard because I ain't going. And he said, what? You don't want to go to Antarctica? I said, hell no, I don't want to go to Antarctica. I live at 6,800 feet, and we had just one of the hardest winters I've ever been through. I don't care to see snow again. Well, we got lots of work here in California. And I says, fine, I'll buy a bottle of Copper Tone and stay here. You can send them other boys to Antarctica. So he did. They went to Antarctica, and they got off the plane. It was 70 below.
Yeah.
Yep. I didn't miss
time to put the warmies on.
Stayed in California, worked on my tan.
Yeah. That's a good occupation. Well, you know, a good part of climbing, I think, for many people is sort of spiritual. Mm. There's an aspect of it where you're kind of really tuning your soul in a way,
Oh yeah.
and learning things about yourself.
Oh sure. You dig deep sometimes. Yeah.
So, does that, have you put a lot of thought into that, for how much of an effect climbing has had on your life, or
All the time.
your beliefs and your
Oh yeah.
philosophy?
Oh yeah. All the time. There was a connection. Yeah, God was watching out for me in a big way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel blessed to have done the things that I did and feel the way that I felt about it, the connection that I had with, myself, with my God, and my abilities. Oh yeah, big time.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know about you, but like, I've always felt like learning to climb, and also was a learning experience about myself.
Oh yeah,
There was a lot of introspection of climbing, thinking about who I was, and
yeah,
what I did, and where I was going, and
yeah.
and learning things in climbing sort of supported all that. Like,
Oh yeah,
like one thing, for example, is I never really thought about goal setting or having some kind of an objective and then taking all the steps that I need to take to work my way to accomplish that goal. Until I started climbing.
absolutely. Climbing, gave me a lot of direction, an enormous amount of direction. And I'm not just talking about up, but trying to have discipline in your life. Have a philosophy. Mine, was I wanted to move with meticulously and methodically with direction and purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And that philosophy carried me through a lot of situations that didn't have anything to do with climbing.
Mm-hmm.
But trying to make good decisions and treat people good, the best that you could, and be a pleasant person to be around. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
climbing helped me a lot. I think. So it's not really, for a while I was wondering, is this a sport? It's really not a sport, I don't think. It's just an activity. It's an activity that we do, and this activity, it builds a lot of character in you. It kind of forces it at times, you'll find yourself in a situation and you got to dig down and try really hard to, you don't want to fall, you want to get to that next ledge, and you got to figure out how to do it. And yeah, it was a really good experience for me. I would recommend rock climbing to anybody that, thought they might like it. You don't like it, and it ain't for you. But if it's something that you like, you're going to get something out of it, and you'll generally get out of it what you put into it.
Right. Which is very in line with your work ethic, huh?
Yes, it is. I never punched a snooze bar in my life. After my father told me that. His feet hit the boots and out the door.
Yeah.
I had to leave this place at midnight many times and drive like a bat out of hell all night to get to where I needed to be before the stars were gone.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. Yeah, this line of work was brutal. I've seen foremen, guys show up
And he was a little bit late, and they'll tell him, well, you know what, that was a good try. I'll tell you what, I'll give you one more shot. Go get you a room, and you can try it again tomorrow. They wouldn't work on that day. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you probably showed up every day with a good attitude. Oh, yeah. Well, it was easy. Those guys I worked with were freaking crack up, man. We'd be in the dark there. I'd see glows of cigarettes, and we'd be telling jokes until we could, kind of see our hand in front of our face. Oh, okay, I guess we'd go to work now. Yeah. And they all worked hard and they had good work ethics too. Yeah, it was like we didn't have, Vietnam, but we built tanks. Yeah. Yeah. I clearly remember one day, this was quite some years ago, that you and I were talking on the phone. I think we were, and it was real early in the morning, and I was saying, you get up really early every day, don't you? And he said, yeah, I do. And then, why do you get up so early? He said, because I love to work. I do. I do to this day. Yeah, I want to get up. I'm given another opportunity to be in this day. It's my duty to make the most of it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it seems like you kind of applied that philosophy to your climbing. Yeah. You approached it with glee. I did. It was a good time. Yeah. And it was rewarding and it was fun. Mm-hmm. So what, more can you ask for? Not much. I can't think of anything.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, great.
Yeah. Great. Thank you for this
welcome.
Opportunity.
Thank you. I'm really glad you called me up. It's been a good life with you.
You as well, Patrick. Yeah, we did a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I've got an idea. It's going to go just like this. Let me tell you, it's this way and that way and over there and under here and over there. Woo!